Hey there. This is the first part of how to write a lesson plan. We're going to start off with the very first two sections on this. Obviously, under teacher name is going to be your name. The date is easy. Your grade levels are broken down into K through 2 and 3rd through 5th for elementary. Remember that these are two separate state course of study sections. 3 through 5 focuses more on lead-up games, while K through 2 is almost predominantly locomotor and manipulative skill. So, on your lesson plan, when you're writing, if it is a K through 2 lesson, what you will do on here is write K through 2, which you will teach the same lesson for all 3 grades. It will just have some different standards. While on this lesson, we're going to focus on first grade, and this is going to be a first grade lesson. So we're just going to write first grade right here. What this does is it means that it's the same game, but you'll do different progressions or different modifications or a lot of different tweaking based on the state course of study. This kind of stops you from having to write 3 different lesson plans for kindergarten, first, and second when you get your job. Estimated number of students is self-explanatory. Lesson number, we're not going to worry about that part in this class because you're only going to write 1 lesson. Okay, now moving on to the lesson title. This is the name of your game, okay? Name of game. So if we're teaching dribbling a soccer ball to first graders today, you are not going to write dribbling soccer ball, because if you save it as that, you're probably going to have many lesson plans that have that same name, and that's not helping you in the future when you're trying to look up these lesson plans later and play them. So when you have your lesson title, this is the name of your game. All right. Make sure you have that nice and clear. Now, the next one we're going to be talking about is the central focus. The central focus of your lesson must include all 3 domains of learning: your psychomotor, your cognitive, and your affective domains. You have to include all 3 of these in a sentence that explains the central focus. All right, let's look at this one section of the lesson plan that's already completed. You'll see that on the lesson title, it is named Hot Garbage, which is the name of the game they're playing. This central focus is going to include all 3 domains of learning: the manipulative skill of dribbling with the feet, which is psychomotor. It's also going to include the ability to identify, remember that from Bloom's, identify cue words and terms associated with it, okay? If they're identifying it, that means they know it, it's knowledge, it's cognitive. And remember, you want to ask the students this while you're teaching in open-ended questions. This is very, very important when you're teaching. All right? So the central focus of this lesson will be able to perform the manipulative skills of dribbling with their feet. Students will be able to identify cue words and terms associated with these manipulative skills. And the students will demonstrate sportsmanship and the ability to function in a group environment, which is effective, which means they're social. They're learning to interact with others in a group team environment, which is very important in first grade. Working with others' feelings, needs, this is all effective. So this one little sentence is your central focus, and this covers the entire lesson plan. All right, before we continue, let's talk about researching and finding lesson plans. So in order to fill any of this out, you're going to have to research. Where do you research? Well, let's see. We have Twitter. There's lesson plans there. You have OpenPE that I made you download. You have your J.D. Hughes books that I made you purchase. And there are many other viable, quality, physical education game websites. YouTube. Let's talk about YouTube. All right. YouTube is a great place. It's a great place to find games. They're very visual. However, ... YouTube is not a source. It's not where to find all the games. Understand? Now, why? Why in the world would I tell you to not go to YouTube where there's so much content, so many games, so much visual? Why would I do that? The reason I would do that is because you're coming in the middle of a progression. You have no idea when the game was taught in the progression of the lessons. You also don't see any words or sources or writing or content, written content. All you see are videos. All you see are videos. This is not enough. So, yes, look at YouTube, but then go find a real source. Okay? That's very, very important. So many students in 300 block will try to take the easy way out and just go straight to YouTube, watch the video, and throw something together because they've waited till the last minute or they're just being a little bit lazy. And when they get to class and they try to play this out and set the equipment up and teach students, it is a train wreck. And it's all because their source at the beginning was weak. So if you have a weak source or a weak foundation, everything else is going to fall apart. Okay? You have to have a good source. So, so important. Now, another point I'm going to bring up before we move on to this section is looking up your lesson plans, looking up sources. So we're going to do a dribbling lesson here. This is what this game is with feet. You do not want to box yourself in and don't only look at soccer. Okay? Look for other lesson plans, maybe basketball, or for K through 2 it would be bouncing. Okay? Or maybe even look up throwing. Okay, so look up these games, these large group games, these whole group activities. Look up things like different skills, and then change the ball, change the object, change the objective, class setup, and all of a sudden you have your own lesson plan. Okay, you haven't boxed yourself in. So this is so important. When you are looking up lesson plans, look through all different sports and all different skills in all different areas, and that's going to be your main source. And you'll be sure to write modified by Lori, or your name, obviously, on there, because you didn't create this, you found it and then you modified it. You have your own plan. Okay, the reason I talked so long about finding a lesson plan and modifying it is so we were able to get to this next part. Because you will not be able to write your unit goals and progressions or your content and skill if you don't know what you're teaching. All right, so we're going to teach this game, and it's going to focus on dribbling noodle slices with your feet. That's going to be the main goal of this lesson. Dribbling noodle slices with your feet. This is a first grade game. It's very basic. That's what we're going to start with. And what that does is it teaches the skill. Okay? Teaches the skill. So that we're going to write that under our unit goal. Now, it asks for progression. Okay, we start out dribbling noodle slices. Now, if they are able to do this, you can't just keep doing it over and over. You have to progress in the lesson with the students. So you will identify one of your progressions on here. You will progress to dribbling a ball with your feet. Okay, still teaches the skill, but you've changed and modified and progressed. Okay, 1 or 2 simple statements stating what you're going to do. Then, in order to answer this, what's the content and skill? What are you doing? Okay, what part of the foot do you dribble with? With the inside of the foot, not the toe. All right, that's right here. You're working on eye-foot coordination, and then you're learning to use only your feet. All right, and this is just a basic statement of what you're going to be teaching, a basic overview. So now you have the first 2 sections of your lesson plan complete.